Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 148. My name is Stephanie. I am the Medium in the Middle. Welcome back if you are a Middler. Welcome if you are a new listener. I just wrapped up the fall Banff Wellness Retreats. They were so much fun. I got to meet so many people in real life, and it's just nice. I know I have a microphone in front of me right now, but being on a stage with a microphone is just me in my element. I love presenting. I don't get stage fright. I have always just loved being the center of attention. So it's no problem for me to hold a microphone and present. Also, when I have a microphone in a live audience, I think I'm a comedian, so that happens and I embarrass myself. But if you are looking to improve your presenting skills, I always say practice things that make you uncomfortable. So I MC a weekly show in Banff in front of an entire restaurant of people. And it's my job to hype up the crowd and get everything going. So that's kind of my practice for when I present for work, because every single week I'm on the mic in front of a full restaurant of 115 people, just chatting away and talking to strangers and making a vibe. So find something that makes you uncomfortable that you can start doing. And it gets me more and more comfortable holding a microphone, talking in front of strangers, doing the same thing over and over and over again, where normally I would be nervous. It kind of allows me to practice things. So that's something I really find is helpful. Today is one of those days I wish I had a co-host, because I kind of just want to gab and be like, hi, how are ya? What's new? Everyone always says when they listen to the podcast, it's like sitting down with a friend to listen to some stories, over coffee. And I was like, yeah, but I wish I could see you sometime. But I'm here on my side and I have a coffee and we're ready to go. And I have two fun stories for you today. I have one psychic story. And one mediumship story that I want to share on the podcast. They're just little stories, so they're going together so that it can be a long enough podcast. But this will be another episode of Medium in the Middle Shorts, where I just get to the point and tell you a cool story. We're going to start off with announcements. I love announcements. When you were in school, did you love announcements? In Canada, we had to stand up and sing the O Canada, and they would tell us cool things in the morning. This is my equivalent. So my announcements are, all my Reiki courses were sold out, and then I went to the retreats and I was telling everybody that, and I kept getting oh. So I've added more courses. Before 2022 is over, you can still learn Reiki. So I have Reiki level 1, December 10th and 11th. Reiki level 2, December 3rd and 4th. For real this time, that's going to be the last courses of 2022. More will be coming back in January in 2023, but this is going to wrap up our year. So if you want to get in on that before the year ends, it is going to be cold on the weekends. You're going to be sitting at home wishing you signed up for a course. So now's a really good time to do it. Right before the holidays, you can go and practice on all your family while you are around them. So I will leave the link down below to register for those. I was going to pull 2 cards for you today, but a third one popped out. If you want to see the video of that, I posted it on Instagram because I realized you never see the behind the scenes of me actually pulling the cards. So if you want to see that, go over to Instagram at Medium in the Middle. As a reminder, that's my only account, and I will never DM you for a reading. All of my bookings, all of my payment is all taken on my website. So if you got a message from me, it wasn't me. It was a scammer. Block and delete them, and please never send money in the DMs. Okay, so the first card is from the Kyle Gray Angel Guidebook. We pulled card Blessings and Abundance. Again, I'm always asking, what do the listeners need to know? Blessings and abundance is what you need to know on the day of the eclipse is when I'm recording this. A night of blessings and abundance is being wrapped around you now, and your angels want you to know that they are supporting you. They are encouraging you to trust in your intuition and any other guidance you are receiving at this time, and it will lead you towards tremendous growth and fulfillment. Many blessings are being showered upon your present situation. If you have not yet experienced them, know they will be revealed and shared in the perfect time, space, sequence. All the doors to abundance are now being opened to you. Angel wisdom is encouraging you to begin counting your blessings. Then you will be open to receiving even more of them. Love that card. Always a good card. I have an interesting story before I read the next two cards. So I never listen to, like, whenever people are pulling cards on Instagram or TikTok, I always just scroll past. But I find whenever I do stop, it's usually because I need to hear the message. So yesterday I was on TikTok and I don't know why I started listening to this one video, and I usually scroll past them. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to hear it. And the person pulling cards was literally speaking to my soul. He said, your initials probably start with, and then he said 4 different letters. And of the 4 letters, 2 of them applied to me. And then someone that the situation he was talking about applied to. They said both of our initials. Then he said, you are probably born on the 8th or the 26th. I'm the 8th. And then he said something else that was literally so specific. I was like, holy shit, you're talking directly to me. So sometimes when you like hear the messages, if it doesn't land, it's just like you don't need to hear it. But if it does, it can be for you. So I find whenever I stop and I actually listen to those, I was like, wow, like I needed to hear that. And I had the urge to stop and listen. So when you have the urge to stop and listen to these, they're for you. When you kind of blanked out on what I just said, not for you. Alrighty, and then I wanted to only pull 1 from the Colette Baron Reid Enchanted Map deck, but 2 fell out. So I'll pull them in order. First I got Heal the Ouch 38, and I was like, oh, I almost pulled this card, because I do. But it says, forgiveness is the healer of the soul. This is a time for great soothing of the heart, body, soul, and mind, as this card indicates that healing will be prevalent in your life now. If you feel drawn to study the healing arts, you'll be successful developing your natural capacity to restore others to wellness. Maybe this card is telling you to sign up for Reiki level 1. That's why I pulled this card, because my announcement was there's more courses. However, the message may be that you're being called to change your behaviors in order to heal the earth. Perhaps you'll switch to a cruelty-free diet, eating less meat. Perhaps you'll pay more attention to how much water you use. You're asked to be conscious of your footprint on the earth and all of life to commit to the healing path. It could also be an indicator of old wounds and broken bonds being mended. Reconciliations are possible now. Let bygones be bygones. Interesting. And then because I was like, oh, I always pull this card and I was on live, I decided to pull 1 more card, and that was card 30, Making a Choice. And Court Burns was on the live, and she says this all goes with the eclipse. So I guess this is eclipse stuff for us people. Card 30, Making a Choice. You're required to come to a decision now. You're faced with a dilemma or a fork in the road that must make a conscious choice regarding the next right action. Whatever that choice is, you must take responsibility for it, yet you needn't be afraid. You may not have all the answers right now because the way ahead cannot be known until you've fully embarked and traveled a few steps. Trust your intuition. Ask for a sign from spirit, and it will lead you to the right path. If you remain conscious and aware, your choice will be on the right one at this time. Life is always about learning. Success lies in choosing consciously, guided by intuition and spirit. No, I think the cards are saying take your Reiki level 1. If you're thinking about it, that's how I would interpret those 2 cards. And I usually don't push the podcast episodes by being like, oh my God, the cards are saying it, but they kind of are this week. So check in with your intuition, see how it feels. If it's like, hell yes, sign up. If it's a wait. There will always be another course. There is no rush. Okay, well, that was the longest intro ever. But now let's actually get in to the medium in the middle, two little shorty stories. What should we do first? Let's do the mediumship one first. The fan favorites. So I was at the Banff Wellness Retreat this past weekend, and I presented 3 times. Once on Friday, twice on Saturday. On Friday, someone came up to me afterwards, and they were asking me a question. And the first thing I said to them was, "Have we met before?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Your eyes look familiar." And she was like, "No." And as soon as I said that, I was like, "Oh, that means that I've talked to your passed on loved ones. If you look familiar to me and I've never met you, that means I've seen someone that looks like you in my mind's eye." And she was going on to tell me about how her dad was passed away, and I was like, "Oh, this all makes sense. That's why you look familiar." I was like, "Don't say anything, Steph. Don't say anything." I had a lineup of people waiting to ask me a question. So she left, and I really didn't think anything of it. I just kind of did a little ha ha ha. Then I came home, and I was laying in bed sleeping. And I have a 1-bedroom apartment, but I use the bedroom portion as my office, and I sleep in like the main portion. So it's kind of set up like a studio so that my office has a door that I can close. So I have been in bed for about an hour and a half, and then I noticed like a light come on. I was like, weird. And I opened my eyes, and my computer was on. My computer is like asleep and it's dark all the time, but it was on. And for it to turn on, you have to like shake the mouse. So I was like, oh, it's spirit. But it was so bright. Like I don't realize, like the rest of my house was dark, but just from my office, the computer was shining so bright. And I was like, oh, it's a ghost. I was just looking at the door because the door was like kind of cracked open. And I like swear I saw a figure move from the right side over to the left. And then I was like, oh no, is someone in my house? And maybe it's not a ghost, like someone's actually in the room. And then I was thinking, my house is 400 square feet big. If someone was in the house, I would know. And also Archie would be barking. But I got up out of bed and I went into the room and I kind of like just looked around and I was like, no one's here. It was a ghost. And the presence in my office was so heavy. I was like, oh, I'm not dealing with this right now. Like, I'm half asleep. I'm not dealing with spirit. So I like just left and I like closed the door even harder. My door doesn't completely close because I have like a rack over it. So I just kind of closed the door as much as I could and then I went back to bed. And my computer kept shining for like another 20 minutes and it never goes on that long. Like literally as I'm sitting here recording, my computer's already shut off twice. And I've been recording for 13 minutes. Like it just sleeps pretty fast. So the fact that it stayed on for that long, I was like, okay, it's a ghost. I'll like deal with it tomorrow. And then in the morning, I was like, it's for sure that lady's dad because she said that to me. I recognized the eyes and he probably just followed me home. In the morning, I'll have to clear and reset my boundaries, but I'm not doing that now. I'm literally going to sleep. So in the morning, I cleared and he was kind of gone. I didn't feel anything. And I thought, okay, I'll tell your daughter that you say hello. Like when I see her again, I'm sure she'll be in one of my classes today. And as I was presenting that day in spirit communication, I was like, someone's dad followed me home last night. And she was standing there and she was so happy. And I was like, do you have the same eyes as your dad? And she was like, yes. And then I was like, that's why you looked familiar yesterday. She's like, I knew when you said that it was him. And then I told her the story and she was like, oh, that's so interesting because he used to always stand in the doorway. And I was like, yeah, well, he was dancing in my doorway to get my attention. So even though you have boundaries, spirit can be sneaky deaky and still follow you home. So reminder to reset your boundaries. Reminder if you get woken up by spirit, just tell them, not today. And it can still be a cutie little message for somebody who needs it. So my next story is a more psychic story. If you remember back in September, I was in my cousin's wedding and we were at the rehearsal and one of her good friends was pregnant. And we were talking about when she was due, and she was due the wedding day. So this was on Thursday. The wedding day was Saturday. She said, oh, I'm due on the wedding day. I hope I don't give birth between now and the wedding. Like, I don't want to miss the wedding. She's like, but if the baby's still in there by the time we're partying Saturday night, she's like, I'm going to dance my little heart out to get the baby out of me. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I hope like babies stay in there, don't come out. We need mom to be able to go to the wedding on Saturday. And then she said, yeah, and if I don't give birth on Saturday, my birth is planned for the 14th. And I instantly said, no, do the 16th. And she was like, well, no, it's already booked for the 14th. And we chose the 14th because it's my grandma's birthday or anniversary. There was 2 reasons why that date was important to her and why they chose the 14th. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just learned to shut my mouth. This is the same person when I was at my cousin's wedding a few years ago. I have podcast episodes about this. When I was like dancing on the dance floor and her sister was pregnant at the time. And I was like, your sister's having a girl. And she was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, okay. So she was like, no, it's going to be the 14th kind of thing. That's when I'm being induced. And I was like, okay, like, Steph, shut your mouth. So I didn't say anything. And to be honest, I forgot about it. I remember thinking, though, in my head, like, don't push the 16th. Don't scare somebody. Just leave it. She said the 14th. She has good reasons for the 14th. Leave it. So this was a few weeks ago now. I called my cousin, who was the one that got married, and she was at the house of that girl who had her baby. She was like, oh, I'm just helping her with the baby. Like, I'll call you when I get in the car. And I was like, okay. She's like, oh, wait, she wants to talk to you. And she pulls the phone over and she's like, Steph. And I was like, yes. She was like, guess what day my baby was born? And I start laughing. And I said the 16th. And she was like, yes. How did you know? And I was like, you're really going to ask me that at this point? You've known me for years. I said, what happened? I thought you were planned to be like induced on the 14th. It was scheduled. And she was like, yeah, on the 14th, we were waiting around all day for the hospital to call us, but something happened where they like didn't have a bed for them, so they never called them. So then on the 15th, they ended up going in to be induced, and the whole process was like started, and they were getting ready to have the baby, but the baby wasn't actually born until the morning of the 16th. And she was like, you knew, how did you know? And I was just laughing and I was like, oh geez, like I did it again. I opened my mouth, but it was just like a cute little story of, I've learned over the years when I'm drinking and I accidentally say something, just pull it back. But this was like a cute thing where she was like, you knew. And I was like, yes, of course I knew. Don't forget who you're talking to. I'm psychic. And usually with babies, I'm almost always right. So that was a little fun story that I wanted to share with you guys here. So a fun little mediumship story, a fun little psychic story. This life is fun. Pay attention to your intuition. These little things happen all the time. And it's just fun to pay attention to them, right? It doesn't mean anything. It's not big, massive, life-changing things. It's just when you really are tuned in and you're listening to your intuition, you'll notice these little hints are everywhere. And it just makes life a little fun, a little spice. That's what I have for you this week on Medium in the Middle Shorts. All the links you need are down below in the show notes. If you haven't already left my podcast a review, please leave the podcast a review. My little baby is growing. We just hit 200,000 downloads. So thank you everybody for listening. It's been 3 years in the making, but I'm really happy to hit that new milestone, 200,000. I know that's not a lot in podcast land, but in Steph land, that's a lot. So we're celebrating over here. So thank you for every listen. Thank you for every download. And thank you for every review. It really, really helps me out. But until next Wednesday, Middlers, you know the drill. I will see you in your ears. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.